Welcome to another episode of Mental Health Coach Reacts. I'm your host, Steven Jaworski. I'm a professional counselor and mental health coach for high-achieving professionals. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at a video from Reynolds, who's been in the news recently for some not so great things, but he's talking about childhood anxiety, phobias, and other issues that he's went through previously and that he still deals with now. So we're going to take a look at, see if there's anything that we can take away from the video, whether there's anything that we can implement into our own lives, any commentary I have. Let's get into it. My goal is to help high-achieving professionals relieve their stress, anxiety, overthinking, and burnout using practical strategies and techniques from our M3 method so they can enjoy their success without sacrificing their well-being.
Yeah, as a kid, it was tough. I was a kid who had a lot of anxiety, a lot of different kind of phobias and issues that I had to sort of work through, and it took me a long time to kind of recognize those things as assets as opposed to liabilities.
Yeah, when you're a kid, you go through a lot of different experiences, and there's so many different things that you go through, and we really have no idea how that impacts us as we get older, as we become adults, functioning members of society, get into relationships, jobs, etc. So there's a lot of processing that has to happen. We may have dealt with certain, trauma, certain issues, certain situations when we were younger that adversely affected us growing up, and a lot of times we view that as something that limits us moving forward. So if you dealt with any sort of depression or insecurities or anxiety when you've been growing up, you think that that's going to stay with you forever, and it's going to be always something that you have to deal with and manage, and that it's something that's in you that's kind of broken. I hear people talk about that. And it's kind of disheartening because, like he says in the video, these aren't necessarily things that are liabilities. If you learn how to overcome, anxiety, stress, overthinking, depression, burnout, whatever you dealt with growing up throughout your life, if you learn how to overcome that, you learn how to deal with it effectively, that skill set is invaluable, because as life goes on, you only get busier. You only get more responsibilities. You're only dealing with more just because, you have a family to take care of. You have responsibilities at your job, responsibilities to your community. So you need to have a skill set to deal with the mental and emotional toll that comes with just going through life as an adult, especially someone who is a high achiever and always wants to keep pushing the envelope, having a level of ambition and wanting to move forward. So sometimes we can get really down on ourselves thinking about, any insecurities or past things that happened to us as a kid. We tend to think of that sometimes as something that limits us. But in reality, if you've been able to overcome that and develop that skill set, it can prove to be an asset for you moving forward so you can handle other situations better. If you're a high-achieving professional that's struggling with stress, anxiety, and overthinking, I created a free gift just for you. My stress-free success guide gives you 5 simple science-backed strategies to calm your mind, reduce your stress, and regain control of your emotions so you can focus on what truly matters. These are practical, fast-acting techniques that fit seamlessly into your life and help you stay productive without suffering from mental and emotional roadblocks. Click the link in the description to grab your copy and start taking control of your mental and emotional health today.
I still struggle with those same things, as challenging as they are, and they're also gifts that come with those things, and
like he was saying there, it's a duality to it. It would be nice, it would be a beautiful thing if people didn't have to deal with negative emotions, negative situations, things that were unpleasant to deal with. It'd be beautiful if everyone had, a 2-parent household, parents that loved each other. They never grew up, in a level of poverty or insecurity in terms of their housing situation, food. They had all great relationships, just friendship-wise and romantic. It would be great if that's just how it was normally for everybody, but that's just not the world we live in. I live in, Orlando, Florida, the United States of America. There's a lot of, advantages and privilege that I have, with my upbringing, but not everything's always going to be perfect. Everyone has their own situations. Maybe they were subject to, bullying when they were younger. They were subject to, levels of abuse or, predisposition to mental illness. So everyone has their own challenges, and it's not something that you can really go back and change. We can acknowledge the past and we can process how that impacted us, but the only thing you can actually influence is the future. The only thing you can influence is your behavior, your skill set moving forward. I like to view mental health in that way as well. Like, something that's been going on recently in past like 10 years or so is mental health awareness. And I absolutely love it. I love putting more awareness on the fact that mental health is a thing. We do need to work on it. We need to develop mental and emotional health skill sets, practices, habits. So that way we can stay healthy. That way we can, have a level of happiness, thriving relationships, performance at work, presentness with our friends and loved ones. But the thing about it is awareness only goes so far. If we're always focused on the negative, if we're always focused on the downsides of, oh, this made me feel X, Y, or Z, this makes me anxious, this makes me feel sad, this makes me feel insecure. If we're only looking at the downsides of things, that's not exactly, awareness is just the first step. You need to develop the mental and emotional skill set, coping skills. That way you can deal with the things that happen to you in life. That way you can move forward. That way we don't have to always be prisoners to what happened to us previously. We can use those experiences, use those situations, and develop a level of resilience and skill set. That way we can move forward and take on bigger challenges, increase our capacity to deal with things. So there is a positive to it. There's a concept called post-traumatic growth. So people who go through traumatic events, like myself, I was a survivor of a mass shooting. And while it was an awful thing to go through, and it severely impacted my life for many years, what it did allow me to do was it allowed me to become resilient. It allowed me to really hone in and develop a mental and emotional skill set. That way I could conquer the trauma that I had dealt with. And now I'm able to give that skill set to others in what I do, as well as I'm able to use it for situations that come up in my life moving forward. Because they just aren't going to get easier. But, a lot of times when we go through trauma, we go through situations, through those experiences, you develop skill sets and resilience that you can utilize in other situations. So there's a large amount of growth that happens if you develop that resilience and move forward. If you don't just dwell on the negative and sit in, oh, I can't believe this happened to me. This is terrible. Like, if you wrap your head around it and are able to develop that skill set, that level of resilience, it can prove extremely beneficial to your life moving forward.
It's that same sort of situation where you become kind of
non-existent danger, so you're
perceptive in ways
in danger, so you're
otherwise wouldn't.
You're
constantly kind of sensing both real danger and non-existent danger. So those are things that really help me in my work.
When you go through experiences, whether they're negative or whether they're in the past or they're traumatic or whatnot, you're then forced to develop ways of dealing with things, coping skills, ways of restructuring your thoughts, techniques like mindfulness, ways of calming yourself down and being aware of what's going on. So part of what I teach my clients with their emotions is, first you need to identify what emotions you're experiencing. So when you start to feel something, you got to know what it is. Then you have to understand what are the things that are triggering it? Why is this happening in the first place? So you have a level of awareness around what the emotions are as well as what's triggering them. Then you need to understand the root of it, like where it's coming from, why this is happening in the first place. So you have a level of awareness, you have a level of understanding, and then the last part is you have to develop ways of managing these things through coping skills, techniques, things that I have talked at length about in a lot of my videos. So that helps you personally, that helps you professionally, because work's got to get done, whether it's in your personal life, whether it's as you're climbing the corporate ladder trying to get to your next position, whether you're trying to scale your income. You need to be able to deal with more. So these skill sets, they prove invaluable. A lot of times it's not the next productivity hack that you need. It's a mental and emotional skill set that you need to develop, the resilience that you need to gain, to grow your capacity to deal with things. So I think that Ryan Reynolds is right on the money with how when you look at things that you've went through previously, they prepare you, if you deal with them correctly and you gain that level of resilience, they prepare you for your life afterwards. They prepare you to deal with more responsibilities, and they can really lead to a high level of growth and preparation for life ahead. So I appreciate you all for watching today's video. I thought it was a good video. I mean, amidst the things that he's in the news for currently, those definitely aren't great. Might have to do a video on that one. But yeah, so if you enjoyed today's video and you want a free resource, so we have our stress-free success guide, which gives you 5 science-backed simple strategies that you can use to calm your mind, reduce your anxiety, lower your stress. So you can grab that with the link in the description. Appreciate you guys for watching, and catch you in the next one.